Alright guys, today we are looking at the categories of consciousness, and in particular two broad categories of consciousness. The first being normal waking consciousness. And as the name suggests, this is associated with being awake, being aware of the objects and events in the external world, your sensations, what you're feeling in terms of your hands, tasting, hearing, smelling, your mental experiences, what you're feeling emotionally, that is, what you're thinking about, and your own existence. And these perceptions and thoughts are organized, clear, you're aware of who you are, you can perceive the world as real, and your sense of time and place are accurate. However, the altered states of consciousness is pretty much anything that is distinctly different from normal waking consciousness when we're talking about levels of awareness and experience. And you'll see we shorten normal waking consciousness to NWC and altered states of consciousness to ASC. Now, altered states of consciousness, people can experience changes in self-awareness, so whether or not their bodies are where they think they are, or being aware that their behavior is a particular way that others are perceiving, their emotional awareness, so being aware that they are feeling the way they are feeling, their perception of time, so it might be an advanced perception of time, time's going really fast, perception of place, so they may not perceive themselves as being where they actually are, and their perception of surroundings. So normal waking consciousness is not just a single state of consciousness. It's multiple levels when we're awake. So you can be really heightened, as we saw in our continuum, where you're focusing really hard on something, or you can be more relaxed, sitting there watching TV, blanking out. Altered states of consciousness can be classified as both naturally occurring or induced. Naturally occurring states occur in everyday activities without the need of aids. So things like you can see with this little bub sleeping. That would be a naturally occurring state of consciousness. Induced ones are intentionally achieved by the use of some kind of aid. So sleep can be an altered state of consciousness that is induced if you take sleeping tablets. Some can be unintentional due to disease, injury, or disorder. So think certain mental disorders, Alzheimer's, things like that. Attention. Now, you are going to need to know what attention is and the different types. So attention is your concentration of mental activity that involves focusing on specific stimulus while ignoring and therefore excluding other stimuli. So you can think of it like in this picture, a spotlight. What are you paying attention to? And all the other things can be going on, but you can be completely unaware of them. And we use attention as a measurement of awareness. The more attention, the higher the degree of awareness. And that makes sense. If you're really concentrating hard, you have to be really aware. In normal waking consciousness, attention can be focused externally or internally. So you can really focus on feeling your heart rate. You can really focus on particular mathematical problem that's going on in your head. Your heart rate would be external. A shift in attention occurs without being aware of it at times. So you're not necessarily going to notice that you've gone from your phone to the TV, back to your phone to the TV. And we can distinguish attention as both selective and divided. So you need to know the difference between these two. So selective attention. This involves choosing and attending to a specific stimulus to the exclusion of others. So in this example, you can see this woman's reading a book and there's so many things going on around her. There's an annoying man on the phone next to her. There's people having a party behind her. There's a fire engine driving past, a dog barking, but she is selecting her attention at her book and she is ignoring everything else. And people often become aware of very little that they're not attending to when you're having selective attention. So she may not have even noticed that there was a fire truck going past. Now, we're most likely to attend to something that is important to us, changes in some way, or is novel, which means new. So if the story is really interesting, it might be important to her. If, however, that fire truck suddenly changes the type of siren, you may select that as your interest. Or something new. Perhaps the man suddenly screams, and he hasn't been screaming before. Now, we're capable of processing some stimuli that is not our direct attention, but it is limited. So she may have vaguely been aware, yeah, a fire truck went past. All right, we were going to do a divided attention activity. I've given you a different activity to do online. So what is divided attention? Divided attention is our ability to distribute our attention and undertake 2 or more activities at the same time. But our ability to do this really depends on the conscious effort required for each task. So in other words, it has to be something that is not too mentally difficult. So we can more competently perform tasks that require divided attention when they are sufficiently similar. So things that are quite similar to one another. They're not complex, so it's not hard to do. It doesn't have a lot of steps to it. If it's something we know, we do all the time, and as I said, doesn't demand mental effort. Think about phones while driving. Can we really text and drive at the same time? Think about driving in itself. You are having to concentrate on other people in cars, whether they're turning left, right. You're constantly having new information thrown at you because you are moving and the road changes. You're having to move your feet at the same time as your hands. And think about what your next steps are going to be. This takes considerable mental effort. It is complex. And particularly at your age and when you're young, it's not well known. So to be able to text or be on the phone while driving means you cannot put divided attention in place. In other words, you cannot drive and be on your phone safely because it is going to divert your attention. You're going to start having selective attention towards your phone, and you need selective attention on driving. All right, what I'd like you to do, there's a few activities I've added onto Compass in addition to this, but I want you to read box 8.2, looking at those looking at our research on selective attention and how we can not really do divided attention at times. And then I'd like you to do learning activity 8.5.